Hello, my name is Mary,
And I'm James.
and thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Watch That John podcast.
Yay, yay.
So today, listen, if you are squeamish, if you are faint, if you have the tendency to fall ill when seeing
Get the
something
heebie-jeebies.
even remotely gross, we advise you not only to not watch this movie, but no, I'll never advise that. Listen to the episode. But today we are reviewing The Substance. Dun dun dun.
Yes, the substance.
That was my trigger warning. So don't say we didn't warn you. That movie needed like 12 trigger warnings.
It absolutely did. You know, it's a 2024 film. It's a body horror film. And what do you think body horror means, Mary?
I mean, it's anything that has to do with the human body, whether it's aging, whether it's some sort of human deformity, experimentation, anything that really plays upon the horrors of the human body. That's how I see it as.
What was the Caterpillar body horror film?
That freaking Human Centipede.
There we go,
Yeah,
Human Centipede.
that was definitely body horror. Even
Body
when you think
horror,
about what
yeah.
happened to Rocket and Guardians of the Galaxy. It's
Volume
horror.
3.
Yeah, body
You're
horror.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So this film was released in 2024 and it got a lot of critical acclaim, which is why it got on Mary's and our radar to review it. It was nominated already for 5 Oscars.
5 Oscars. Honestly, whatever. I think it deserves every single one. This movie is awful, but it's so good. And
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying at the moment.
I think that's very accurate. It's a yes. It stars Demi Moore.
The worst thing I've ever seen, but one of the best films I've ever seen at the same time.
It stars Demi Moore as the main protagonist.
Protagonista. Sorry, no.
Elizabeth, and then
I hate when people spell Elizabeth with an S. Elizabeth is spelled with a Z.
it should be spelled with a Z.
Yeah.
I agree. But then Margaret Qualley plays as Sue, and then Dennis Quaid is Harvey. So as a pretty large dynamic. Well, not large cast, but pretty renowned cast. With the director Carly Fargett. I probably mispronounced that.
It's Carolee Fargay or something like that. I don't know. We don't speak French. But yeah, this movie is, like James said, it's a body horror and also social commentary on ageism and sexism against women, not only, in Hollywood, but just in everyday life. So let's get right into it. We're going to do a similar format that we have been doing lately. Run down the plot of the most key points and then talk about it. So strap in. This is probably going to be a long one. This movie was 2 hours and 25 minutes? Yeah, it was long.
Yep.
It was long. But, all right. So the movie starts out. The first thing you see is an egg. An egg, a very vibrant egg. It has a very vibrant yolk, and the white of the egg is so translucent it looks like it's not even there. The only way you can tell the white of the egg is there is because of the blue table it's on, and those colors are very prominent in this film. Blue and yellow and orange is very prominent, but I'll talk about that later. So someone sticks a syringe in the egg, and literally moments later, the yolk splits into 2. And there are 2 identical yolks. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the drug, the substance. That's all you need to know. So the scene transitions and we see this woman. Well, no, that is not true. There's
it's the
Yeah.
Walk of Fame, the Hollywood sign,
Yes. So this you see the
the star.
we're in Hollywood, and you know when they have those stars on the ground, I don't know what they're called with celebrities' names on them,
Yeah, the
and
Walk of Fame stars.
Walk of Fame. Okay, so we
Hmm.
see Elizabeth Sparkle's star first being laid down. We really see the progression of the star. So the stars originally is paved in a cement. Elizabeth Sparkle's there, you know, taking pictures. Everyone adores her, and it's like a time lapse of us seeing the star, you know, and then we see the star, people saying, "Oh my God, that's Elizabeth," and like taking pictures with the star. Then time passes. People are like, "Oh, remember her? She used to play in that movie. What was it called?" Oh, I don't know. And then time passes and cracks in the pavement start to form on the star. The star is cracked. You know, people aren't paying attention to the star anymore. It gets rained on, it gets snowed on. At one point, a man drops his entire lunch on the star. It's something like he's eating a burger or something with a whole lot of ketchup, and
Yeah,
it
yeah,
falls on the star, and it just looks like flesh and blood on the star, like the ketchup of the burger and the meaty fleshiness of the meats just on the star, and the star's cracked. And in the background, there's some construction going on. You hear heavy machinery, you hear like power drills, and that was really interesting to me because I also think that's kind of a preview of things to come.
absolutely forecasting,
Yeah,
foreshadowing.
foreshadowing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So the next scene we start off with I was about to say Demi with
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Sparkle, Elizabeth with an S. So she is it's not the 80s, but I really enjoy how this movie is shot, but it's not the 80s, but she is an actress, the same actress we saw before whose star was in the ground, and she is now doing one of those you know, those home fitness videos of the 80s where a woman is in a vibrant leotard with a bunch of other women saying jazzercise, and think of what's that dude's name?
Calisthenics, is that what it's called?
No, that is not calisthenics.
That's
Calisthenics is
not.
10 times harder. Calisthenics is like handstand push-ups and single
Oh,
finger push-ups, and
Pilates. That's what I was looking for.
it's not even really no, it's not Pilates. It's aerobic exercise. It's aerobic
Okay.
exercise. Pilates, they use that little contraption. Um so
Mm.
yeah, but we've all seen it. Think, who is that man? That man with the curly hair and
Oh, yeah. I know what
him.
you're talking
I
about.
if you know
Okay.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And so Elizabeth is shooting one of her videos, and when she's done, you know, it actually happens to be her 50th birthday. And
Richard Simmons, by the way.
Richard
Richard
Simmons,
Simons.
yes, Simons. How many M's?
SI two.
That's Simmons.
Simmons. Okay, Richard
Yeah,
Simmons. Yep.
Richard Simmons. Yeah, so it's like a Richard Simmons type video. And yeah, so after the recording is done, Elizabeth leaves the studio to go to the bathroom, and everyone's wishing her happy birthday while she's walking down the very vibrant orange halls of her studio. And she notices that the woman's bathroom is out of order, so she goes to the men's bathroom. And while
Hmm.
she's in the stall, I guess one of the, maybe her producer or a network
Yep.
executive, played
Yep.
by Dennis Quaid, Harvey, comes in, and he's on the phone. He, unbeknownst to him, he doesn't know that Elizabeth is in the bathroom. But honestly, even if he did, I don't think he could care less. And he's pretty much saying, "We need to get out of here. She's too old. She's too old. We need someone young. We need someone vibrant. Get rid of her." And when he leaves, Elizabeth comes out and she's just very disheartened. She looks herself in the mirror and realizes that she's not as young as she used to be. And
And that her
then,
career is over.
yeah, that she's not as young as she used to be, and she's out of a job. She's out of a job,
Yep. She doesn't have a job.
you know, because she used to be an actress and now she's doing this. So it's kind of like, what else is there to fall back on, you know? So,
And apparently, the Harvey was saying that I don't care what we promised her. So I'm not sure if she had a long-term contract or she was like promised to continue her contract or promised that she could have her show as long as she want to. But obviously, it was a devastating news that they wanted to replace her. It didn't seem like she saw it coming.
No, she seemed completely blindsided by it, you know. And this is all happening on her birthday, and she's not interested. She's not happy about her birthday either, but
Yeah, she just turned 50.
yeah.
So she knows she's getting up there.
So on her drive home, she notices that one of the billboards that had her face on it advertising her show is being paved over with something else. And in her distraction, she gets T-boned by another car and gets into a car crash, a pretty bad one. And then the next thing we find her in a hospital. So, there's a lot of things that I want to talk about in the first few scenes that I just discussed. Like I said, I think color plays an important role in this film. Not really sure what it is, because like I said, we are not film students, but I want to give my opinion. There's a lot of, this movie is beautifully shot, honestly. There's very vibrant colors with high contrast, a lot of complementary colors. Like I said, it seems that Elizabeth's color is blue, like a deep blue, like what's not navy, like a deep blue. And after she finished recording what is her last show, she's walking down the bright orange halls of the studio, and the halls are lined with giant posters of her throughout the years doing this show, throughout her career. And you know, the farther you go down the line, the older she gets. And I think, you know, orange and blue are complementary colors. And I think the director or whoever might have chose these colors just to show that she is no longer the person who fits into this place. And she's very different from the women who were posted on the walls lining, you know, her studio. And she's not a fit for Hollywood anymore. She's not young enough anymore. And yeah, I thought that was interesting. And it seems like later on, she adopts a new color. When she's in her car later, she's wearing, which is kind of strange because it looks warm, but she's wearing this bright yellow wool coat.
Yep.
And that is the same yellow as the Substance logo. So it seems like that coat kind of represents her insecurities and more of like her interest in the Substance. Because it seems like, I noticed throughout, she wears a little more yellow as the movie progresses.
So do you think yellow kind of correlates with like, I don't know, like the sunset? You know, just like the end of her time.
It's morbid.
It's morbid, but
you know, yellow's the sunrise too. So
it could be the sunrise. It could be a new beginning. I guess the sunset kind of gets orangey or so, but essentially, her time is ticking.
Her time is ticking.
Either way, her time is ticking.
And one thing that I noticed too, going back to that little time lapse of her Hollywood star, and like I said, there was like a drill in the background, like the sound of construction and heavy drills and like the cracking of the pavement on her star and like the nasty looking hamburger and ketchup on her star. I think that kind of like, it definitely foreshadows, I think, like work being done. Like when people get like these surgical procedures, they think it's easy. You know, I'll just get like a tummy tuck. I'll just get a little bit of lipo. But when you actually watch the videos, there is work being done. There's hard, bloody construction being done on your body, and it's gruesome to look at. So I think that was also like foreshadowing too, and maybe like a commentary.
I think that's also a culture of Hollywood, right?
Absolutely.
You know, with, like you said, Botox and tummy tucks, but even
and buccal fat removals.
Yes, but even now with like Ozempic or other like stuff that basically actors and celebrities would do anything they can to look the best and to stay competitive, you know, because you can always be replaced, especially women, that was replaced with a younger, hotter self.
But one
So
thing that I like about what I'm noticing now, we're seeing a lot more movies where the main leads are older women. Of
yeah,
course, I can't think of any right now besides this movie, but in
besides this
recent
movie.
years, we have been seeing women like leads where older women are at the forefront. I wish I could think of some,
Well, we just saw a movie with Glenn Close, right? And
but I'm like the lead role. The lead role. There's
yeah,
something. I can't think of any. But and one thing that's interesting to me, and I like they of course they make it obvious, like when Harvey goes into the bathroom when Elizabeth is still there and he's talking about getting rid of her. There's sort of like this, I guess for lack of better words, like this fisheye lens that reviewing him through, and you can see every wrinkle and sag and fine line. And he's talking on the phone while he's at a urinal peeing, and it's like you're talking about her being old, but you're so old that you can't even get a steady stream of urine to come out unless you keep jangling your junk.
yeah, exactly,
So it's like
exactly. I think what that means is that one, he's a hypocrite, but two, the rules are different.
very different.
I think for men and women,
Yeah.
right? Like he can still be a Hollywood producer and and just go and do what he wants
And
and
look
just
any old kind of way. And
and look
act any old kind
way.
of way.
He didn't wash his hands. He was eating disgusting. Like
Uncouth.
when he went to lunch later on,
Yeah.
that like later in
That
that
was the
scene,
nastiest scene.
it really was. It was a precursor of what to come.
Oh my
That
god.
scene,
Yeah.
him just eating that shrimp and dipping in it.
That was so nasty.
It was gross. It really was.
But yeah, and it's just crazy that these decrepit old ugly white men get to determine what's hot.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Is there anything else you want to say about this part?
No, we can move on.
Yeah, it's just crazy that like these old ugly white men, they capitalize in the insecurity of women that's been placed on us because we live in a society where women are kind of taught that the only thing that matters is the attention of men. So even the most bummy men can really has a say on what's attractive. But yeah. Okay.
So at the hospital, Elizabeth is recovering from her wounds and she's miraculously okay. She has like no injuries at all.
He said it didn't even like
And
crack a molar or anything like that.
yeah, she didn't even hurt her teeth, even though the car accident
It tumbled.
was pretty gruesome. Yeah, it was pretty gruesome.
It was bad.
So while she's being examined, one of the nurses does an extra examination on her spine, and he mumbles under his breath that you're the perfect candidate. And she asks him, "What do you mean?" And he says, "Never mind, you're good to go." And she hands him her jacket. When her coat rather, when she walks out of the hospital, she encounters a guy named Fred, who she knew from high school, who said that she's just as beautiful as he remembered her, which she kind of noticed it, but doesn't really appreciate the compliment at the time, right? So he fumbles around and he gives her phone number, and he like drops it in like this muddy water, like on the ground. He drops it on the ground and falls into a puddle. So she has to pick up this like flimsy, drenched phone number, right? Because he invited her to go out for drinks, but she keeps it. And when she checks in her pocket, she realizes that the nurse slipped in her pocket a note that said, "This changed my life," and it had a USB stick, USB drive that said the substance. So she takes it home and she pops it into the TV,
And she pretty much watches the ring.
Yeah, yeah. It is basically the ring, right? It's a black market serum, right? It's advertising that says younger. You can be your younger, more beautiful, more perfect version of yourself. And the ad emphasizes a simple rule: each version shares time, alternating every 7 days, right? It says that it's not you or your other self. It's just one.
Only one.
You are one.
You are one.
There's only one.
You are the Matrix.
Yes. You're the Matrix. Everything comes from you. Everything is you. Right. So when the video closes, she like initially thinks this is foolishness, and she throws it away. But then she sits down and contemplates it, and she gives the number a call. Right. I think after she went, like, she was kind of depressed. She went out partying and drinking, and then later on that night she gave it a call. And she decided to give it a chance. And the next morning, they
She
sent
didn't
her
go
an
out
envelope.
partying. She just was drinking, just
Yeah, no,
throwing
I
back
guess
dirty martinis.
yeah, she went up. She went back down to the bar. So when she gets back, the next morning, she gets a letter, and it was from the same logo of the substance. And she opens it up, and all it has is a room key, like a card.
Well, she called them.
503.
They gave her an
Yeah.
address.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So she calls them. They give her an address to go to. Then that's
Yeah.
when in the mail she gets the little
The little
card key. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
So
yeah.
when I was first watching this, right, I felt as though the infomercial and like didn't have nearly as much information that I needed. It talked about cells dividing, which automatically would scare me. Right. That my first thought is cells dividing. That sounds like either cancer or a twin. And either way, it would just freak me out and kind of turn me off. But being in this world that they're living in Los Angeles, and she's already a celebrity and probably already went through a few procedures to maintain, like, presumably, she went through a few procedures to
You saw
maintain
them
her beauty.
titties?
Yeah,
Those are not
exactly.
the titties of a 50-year-old woman.
No, they're not. They're not. Right. So it probably wasn't that, like,
Concerned.
there.
Yeah.
Out there for her to try something like this.
See,
Right.
I really like the tone of this movie. Like, well, like the mise en scène, I think that's what it's called. It's like, it's really kind of directed in a way where there's not a lot of information, and none of the characters expect there to be a lot of information. And as the viewer, you don't expect it either. Like she said, this, like the commercial, she didn't really ask any questions. You know what I mean? It was like the bare minimum description. But like the whole movie is like that. Like even when it starts up, they don't really get into what she used to do and what movies she did before she got into her fitness guru job or anything about her life. Like she doesn't seem to have any family. She doesn't seem to have any friends. Like, so you're just kind of thrust into the story with limited information. And I like that mystique about it. So I really did like this commercial for the substance. I liked how they had that one piece of clay. They pulled it apart into two. And even though it were two pieces of clay of the same size, one was just a lot more round and not as lumpy as the other piece of clay. And in the middle was a little substance signal in clay. I thought that was really cool. And yeah, I, like you said, of course, if this was a different movie, I would expect her to ask questions. But watching this movie, I was like, I don't expect anything. Like, I don't expect anything because that's kind of the tone that they set up. But
yeah, no, I agree. I think the cloudiness and the uncertainty, it would really allow you to kind of dive into the movie with no questions, and you're just interested because you're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on, and you just watch what's going on. Versus in some other movies, they kind of over explain every little thing, which is also frustrating.
Sometimes, there's sometimes things can't be explained. Like I know for me, I think, did I use this Kingdom Hearts example before? How the first Kingdom Hearts is perfect because they don't explain too much. There's good,
Yeah,
there's evil. You fight evil, that's it. The other ones, they tried to make this whole story and make it make sense, where it's like, we don't need to do all that. It's like reading, like when you read like a mythology, like an origin myth, right? You don't need to know, like, I don't know exactly what, I don't know, God did to create the world. He spoke and that's enough. You don't ask questions, you know? Um, but yeah, one thing, what did you think about Fred from 10th grade homeroom, and how the piece of paper with his number on it kind of dropped in the mud before Elizabeth took it?
I think Fred, he, I don't know. And initially, I thought he was just a weirdo because, um, obviously, I feel like there's always a chance to, well, not anymore for me because I'm outside of the state, but there's always a chance for you to run into someone you know in high school, and it's always an awkward encounter. So when that first happened, I thought that um, he was just there to, like, I was trying to figure out what his intentions was. Was he trying to get something out of her? But I realized that later on in the movie that he was just generally a fan of who she become. And when he wrote his number and he dropped it, he didn't feel embarrassed that it was in the mud. You know, like he still felt as though, hey, my number is worth something, even if it's a little damaged, a little soggy. You get in contact with me is worth something.
Hmm.
And he still gave it to her, you know, versus he's like, oh, I'm sorry, and kind of right over. So I thought that was kind of intentional.
Yeah, yeah. Because I'm like, there's a reason why they shot it falling into the mud like that. What I saw it as kind of like her being, Elizabeth being so insecure that she couldn't really accept the compliment. Like, he said to her, oh my goodness, you're just as gorgeous as you were in high school. Like, you look great. I'm a huge fan. Here's my number. And the number was written on this very white piece of paper, but before she can receive it, it got sullied in the mud. So in my mind, I'm like how the way she kind of reacted when he was talking to her, you know, like you said, awkward. Like, I don't really want to talk to this dude. I don't want to run into him. But also, she was acting like, stop it. Like, I don't want you to make all these compliments about you because I can't receive them because I don't feel that way. So
Okay.
that's how I saw it. And another thing, going back, when Harvey was in the bathroom, he said something along the lines of, what he say? Did you know that a woman's fertility starts to decrease about the age of 25? And then when later on, when he was at his lunch with his dismissal lunch with Elizabeth, he said something like, it's all about renewal. People want renewal and something new. And when you turn 50, it stops. And she was like, what stops? And he just stammered like an idiot for 2 minutes before his friend came and took him away. What do you think that means? Like, why does he seem so interested in like fertility, or like obviously like a menstrual cycle? Like, what is the link you think between a woman's ability to reproduce and their worth and their youthfulness?
So I don't know. What I'm thinking is that the innate sexual attraction that males have to females, that men have to women, is their ability to reproduce.
Like on a
So
biological,
on a
meat caveman
biological
level.
level, yes. So when they're older or no longer like biologic in that age range to produce, they're less
They're
attractive. And I
useless.
feel as though
In their mind, yeah. In this world, they're
yeah,
useless.
in his mind.
Yeah.
So I think when he's like, hey, after 25, we need to recycle because subconsciously guys are less attracted after a certain age.
And
I
that's
think that's what
crazy
he's
to
trying to
think
say.
about, right? That's crazy to think about on a deeper level. Like, you know, we think of it as like a surface level, like, okay, I look older. But when you think about the reason why, it really is that. It's biological. It's like you are not a prime candidate to carry on my lineage. and therefore I am not attracted to you. But it's crazy that I really like how she broke it down like that, because when you think of it like that, it's like, ew, gross. Why are you so concerned about my reproductive ability and my
Yeah.
freaking period? Like that's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So consciously, it's 2025 nowadays. Obviously, you don't have to do that to select a mate, but I think it's still coded into our DNA what we find attractive and what we don't.
I got. All right, moving on. So, um, after Liz receives her packets with the card number 503, she goes to the address. It was like 35 North something Avenue. The address that when she called the substance people on the phone, they gave her the address. So she goes to that address. And it's as sketchy as it can be. Like, it's not even like an address. It's literally someone spray painted an address on like this old, I don't even know if you call it a warehouse. Like, it looks a hot mess. So
She went to the hood. She went to the hood.
she went to the trap. She went to the
To the
trap.
trap
just
house.
like a meth house. Like, ugh. Yeah.
So while we're talking about setting, I'm gonna put a pin real quick. This movie was recorded in Paris.
I mean, I assume so because the director is Parisian.
She's French.
French. Yeah, I don't know. She's Parisian.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was interesting how they made it look like LA.
Oh,
And
yeah.
no, it
I
wasn't.
guess I didn't think
It
about
wasn't.
that.
Yeah, but it
Yeah.
wasn't actually in LA.
Yeah.
But yeah, she goes into the trap house.
Yeah. So she scans her card and the little what's like it looks like when the bodega closes and that heavy like metal door comes down. It doesn't
Yeah,
even
yeah.
open all the way. So she has to like crawl, like bend over to crawl to get in the door and it's trash. Like it literally looks like there's trash all over the ground. It literally looks like a bunch of kids came and have a rave or like homeless people go in there to shoot up. It looks ridiculous. So she finds these lockers and one of the lockers has 503 on it and she scans her key and sure enough she gets her package and then she takes it home and she stares at herself in the mirror for a while and then like a true meth head she takes this green vial out of the package called the activator. She ties her arm with the elastic and she shoots up. And at first, she doesn't feel anything. And she kind of like sucks her teeth and like, what a waste of time. But then her whole world starts to spin. And she literally collapses to the ground and falls on the ground like a person who just became comatose. And then she has this agonizing pain that leaves her writhing on the ground, like pain so sharp that she can't even scream out. She makes these like very choking noises, like you ever have a pain like that where it's like paralyzing, but she's still writhing in pain. And then yeah, you see this something moving under her skin. There's something big moving under her skin, down her spine. Her pupils split into two, just like that egg did in the beginning of the film. And another eye replaces the eye in the socket completely. Like it's like her eye just like zoops out the way and then the blue eye comes. And then literally her back opens up like a butterfly literally emerging from a cocoon, and her body is just this empty husk, and out comes a beautiful, faultless, baby skinned woman, and she looks in the mirror and she's like, damn, I'm hot. I look good. And yeah, she Sue, after reminding herself for a bit, she takes the very crude is not even the word to describe it, the very barbaric I don't
Sewing kit.
sewing kit and stitches Liz's back. Literally, her back, her it ripped into back together, and then yeah, Sue is born. Ugh.
Disgusting.
And that's when, honestly, that's when I was like, I like this. I was like, I was not expecting that. I
No.
was not expecting a whole nother person to just climb out of this woman's body. Like,
No, I expected, like you said, her to go unconscious and wake up and her face is pretty, and then it goes for a
yeah.
week and then it wears off. Like a cartoon, you know what I mean? Like, oh, like a Cinderella sort of thing. Like you put on your, what does she put on? Her slippers or whatever. She turned to a fairy prince,
I mean, Cinderella was already
queen.
pretty. She was just poor. I thought it was going to be like,
That sounds crazy. We just say it out loud.
she was just poor.
She was pretty, but she was just worthless.
Yeah, she
So,
was just poor. Yeah, I did not expect that. And I thought this movie is trippy. This movie is creative. I
yeah.
really like this. Like I liked it so far. I was like, what's the substance? Like I said, I liked how nothing was explained. Like she literally just went to the freaking trap house to shoot up
Yeah.
something and a beautiful girl crawled out of your freaking back. And so
Yeah, she basically cloned herself. She made a clone. And as you said,
not a
there was,
clone. It's
it's a clone. That's what the egg is all about cloning.
even though they don't look alike. So yeah, she took part. It's like Sue is the best parts of Liz.
Yes. Which is a clone, just not identical. They're not identical.
Okay.
She cloned herself.
But my thing is, if I went through all of that to have some hoe climb out my body, why she still got peach fuzz down there? I expect to be toddler smooth. Like I just got laser. Like I nothing. I said what? Absolutely not. I want my money back. I'm supposed to be perfect, but I still have the wax. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No.
Ridiculous. You're ridiculous.
But yeah.
Anyway, so the whole time I was watching it, and as Elizabeth's body, lifeless body, was just sitting there as Sue sewed her up, and eventually she had to inject her spine and extract out her spinal fluid to use as a stabilizer to keep herself alive.
Yes.
And then put a feeding tube in her arm. I just thought of how poorly she is treating her body,
Mm-hmm.
and how poorly we treat our bodies.
She kept her on the
Whenever
bathroom
there's-
floor the entire time. I was like, "Oh, you're gonna move this
The
to her
bathroom-
bed?"
Yeah, exactly. Just leave her on the bathroom floor for a week. She was there for a week.
She didn't even give her
Just
a
on the
pillow.
floor. Didn't get no pillow. Didn't put no like blanket on her. Just butt naked on the floor, and just how little they cared about their body was no longer useful to them, useful to us. You know.
Yeah. And one thing that I recognized, I was like, Liz's bathroom is very sterile, like a hospital operating room. And she really
It
is
was.
in there doing full on BBLs, even though she's not licensed, and I don't know, Botox. And you can do Botox without a license. You can just give people Botox.
Terrifying.
You could. I think you can
Terrifying.
I'm pretty sure you can just buy the kit. Let me see. Do you need a license for Botox? Do you need a license for Botox? Let's see.
You mean like a prescription, or you mean like a license to
Okay, yes,
administer?
yeah, you do need a license to administer Botox. But
Apparently,
I
you
heard
only
it's real
li-
easy to do
license-
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, her like literally her whole bathroom. And I watched one director interview. The director is Carolee Fargy. I don't know how to say her name, but she said that pretty much Liz's bathroom represents her mind. Like that's kind of like her psyche in a way, and you do see that the more the movie goes on. But okay, do you
What
want
do you
to?
mean?
So
You just
So her, for one thing, we know that
is blank and white. That's what I know about the bathroom.
Well, no, no, no. We know later down in the film, Sue goes full on home improvement and makes a separate room, a hidden room in her bathroom to stuff away Liz in that room. So it's like I'm stuffing her into the deepest recesses of my mind because I don't want to remember who I am or where I come from. And that made it easier for her to abuse Sue later on.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So after, Sue comes alive, right? She enters the world and she realized that she's super flexible and she's young.
She realized she's super flexible.
Yo,
I don't
remember
think
she was sitting up
realized.
there. She realized she was super because she was doing her normal like probably morning exercise routines.
Oh, she
Elizabeth
has
did.
more vitality. Yeah.
Yeah, like no, she was split
She
in
was
half.
full.
And was
It
doing,
was
like,
clit to carpet, y'all. Like full split.
That's so graphic, nigga.
It was this movie. I'm graphic.
So Sue, she goes and she essentially sees a newspaper ad. It said something along the lines of, "We're looking for the new Elizabeth
Sparkle."
Sparkle.
And it's the same newspaper. Liz saw that ad in the newspaper and she crumpled it up. Well, so she knew she was being she saw it.
Yes. So Sue decides to go and apply to basically replace herself. And she crushes it. She kills it. The producers are blown away.
She walks in there with this neon 80s pink leotard and with plump lips and eyes that say I do butt stuff. Because they kept showing that booty. They kept showing that round booty, yeah.
I think because the booty was the biggest improvement.
But I did like that. Before Liz took her activator shot, she stood in the mirror and they showed her body. They showed her real body, and her booty was a bit saggy. Her nipples were a bit saggy. You know what I mean? There were times she wore like this backless dress, and you can just kind of see with the lighting, just like her whole like the bones in her body, and she looked very frail and old. They didn't shy away from that. Yeah, they didn't shy away from that, and it's just like let's not try to cover up the signs of aging because it's natural and it's coming for us all.
Yeah, if you're lucky enough, it's coming for us all.
Amen. All right, continue.
Yeah. Okay, so initially, Elizabeth and Sue, they adhere to the 7-day switching routine. So every 7 days, they have to make sure that they switch or something bad will happen.
Yeah, right? And they also have to make sure, so that Liz has enough food to eat. She has
they have like those sacks, right? They're basically on life support. That it is like feeding tubes, right? So
7 days worth, only 7 days worth at a time.
7 days. So Elizabeth spends most of her time just inactive, right? She's like depressed. She's watching TV, eating, and just waiting for the clock to kind of tick down. And there's a few times she even go into the room where Sue is laid in sleep to make sure that like to help her count down the days. While Sue is living her best life. She's exploring the world. Well, she's exploring her world. She's coordinating these dances for a new show she has. She's partying with her friends. She's sleeping with guys. She's like living her best life.
She's being hot girl summer.
Yeah, exactly. It's her hot girl summer. And eventually there was one night in particular where she decided to go out with some friends, and it was day 7. And she goes up to Elizabeth while she's asleep in the closet, and she's like, "Hey, I'm not gonna be late. Don't wait for me." Right? Don't eat too fast too, because she had barely enough food left.
She said, "I'm not gonna be too late, so just hold on. I'll be back."
Just hold on.
Yeah, and we'll switch.
Yes. So she comes back. She brings the guy home. They're about to get down with the get down, and then her nose will start bleeding because she's now like jonesing for the stabilizer, right? So she goes into the room. She finds Elizabeth, and she uses an injection on Elizabeth for an eighth time, even though the limit is 7. So she injects herself. She's able to finish her night, and then when she does eventually switch, right? Elizabeth wakes up, and to her horror, she realizes that her right pointer finger and thumb is grotesquely
No, just one finger.
disfigured.
It was two
Just
fingers.
one finger?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just her index
it
finger.
was her index finger, just grossly disfigured.
I think it was her
just
left index finger. Yeah.
like almost like a rot from the inside out.
You know,
And
it's just like we were going to watch Nosferatu, but we don't have to. She's right here.
exactly.
She's right here.
Exactly. She's right here.
Yeah.
And she calls she calls the substance company, and she's like, "Hey, there's been a misuse of the substance, and now there's consequences. What do I do?" And he's like, "You burnt, son. Like, what happened?
We
You can't
told you.
undo. We told you, and to make sure you maintain the balance." And that was the slippery slope, right? Sue eventually became power hungry. Not power hungry. She just obsessive. And whenever they would switch back, she would use more and more and more and more time.
So, I think this is an interesting point because this is the point where Sue and Liz are no longer aligned. They don't see one another as the same anymore.
Yes.
Because, like you said, after Liz woke up and saw her Nosferatu finger, she called and said, Sue is not obeying the balance. And the dude on the phone from the substance was like, there is no Sue. You're the same person. And he just says, obey the balance. And what I think Sue and Liz are the same person. I think Sue just represents Liz's strongest desire. Even like her strongest desire is to be beautiful, is to be desirable, is to be wanted, is to feel like not just famous. I think she just wants to feel like she matters. Like she this world that she lives in, this world that Coralie constructed is very vain. We know today, like I said, beauty is currency. But in this world, it's everything. Like it's everything. Like even when we think about the boy that Sue brought home to sleep with, the boy Troy, he saw Liz that same day and he treated her like garbage.
He did.
Like garbage. And it's just like Sue, Liz being there and being like, you are all over Sue, but you see me in the street and you act like I'm nothing. Is wild. So Liz just wants to feel like she still has worth, she still has value. And yeah, like I said, it's interesting because now there's a shift. Sue and Liz are no longer aligned and Sue is becoming her own person. But not really, because like the dude in the substance says, hey, if the balance isn't being respected, it's because you are not respecting the balance. And at one point, Liz is like banging herself on the head, like, hey, get it together. Stop ruining your life. Because she realizes that Sue is still her. Like, her deciding to tap into Liz's spinal fluid when the 7 days are over is her, So, and,
do you think, so originally when it happened, when Sue first came to be, I thought that they shared a consciousness. I thought that like their conscious minds went with whatever body was active, until I realized later on that Sue, when she woke up, she saw just like how messy and trash the apartment is.
Liz.
Because Sue. She saw how messy and trash the apartment is. Because
well, they kind of both
Liz
trash.
does,
I thought you remember when Liz, after Sue slept with the dude, Liz woke up and saw beer bottles everywhere and everything.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. But either way,
they both did
it seems like they don't actively know what happened when they were asleep. But they can assume. So it's kind of like, I don't know if it's like a dream that they barely remember, or They don't have any control or agency.
See, it is weird because I remember when after Sue sleeps with the bull and when Liz is about to wake up, we see very quickly the boy Troy on his motorcycle approaching the screen. And then Liz wakes up and so maybe I feel like she does have some understanding what happens, because why is she dreaming about Troy when she never
She also
in fact
recognized
met
him.
him?
Like you said, she
Yeah,
recognized him.
I feel like she did recognize him later. So I don't know, but I do like the kind of it's not certain. It's not
And
certain.
Sue knew exactly where to go to get that job. She knew everything. She knew
I mean,
her
the
dance
dress might have been
techniques
on the
and everything.
flyer.
But still, she knew exactly what to do.
I thought it was really
There's no question.
skeezy that when she went to the audition, they asked for her measurements as well. I was like,
Yeah.
I hate this. They're just so gross. And then the two dudes taking auditions. The girl before Sue, they were like, oh, if only her breasts were between her face instead of that big nose. And it's like, have y'all seen how y'all look? Like, it's just crazy to me. But one thing that was really interesting to me was when Sue went back to the crack house to get her refill of the substance, she realized she was being followed. Like, if you notice, she's at her locker and she hears like this moaning, like this wailing noise. Like, it seems like a very mournful voice. And then later on, she goes into a diner, she orders a mocha latte, and she notices this horrifyingly old man across from her. And
Why you gotta be horrifyingly old?
he was horrifyingly old. He was old as dirt. All right, he was dirt.
He was.
And she noticed the same bruise on his wrist, the same bruise that nurse who told her about the substance had. And she also noticed that when he bent down, he dropped his wallet, and sorely enough, his substance locker number fell out, the little key card, and she noticed the stitching down his back, like down his spine. And what did he say? He said,
7 days is a long time, ain't it?
it's a long time. And he said, what did he say? Oh, I wrote it down. He said, wait.
He essentially said that you need to remember that you deserve to be alive too, or something of that nature. That you deserve to
He said it gets harder each time to remember that you deserve to exist.
Yep.
And it's like, literally, Liz was just spending her days twiddling her thumbs waiting for the seventh day to come. Like, just like when Sue woke up, she saw the deep indent in the couch where Liz just sat and did not go anywhere. So after seeing that man in the diner, she ran back home. You know, she's rummaging through her stuff to find that number that Fred had given her. Because in her mind, she, like I said, she's very lonely. Like, in this film, she doesn't have any friends, she doesn't have any family, apparently. It's just her by herself. And I think that's interesting because one thing about getting older, a lot of elderly people do suffer from loneliness. Or their friends are dead, their kids moved away, you know, they have their own lives. Like, it's really sad, but it's a thing. So she's rummaging through her stuff, trying to find Fred's number. She calls him, and he's shocked that she called, and they make a date to go to Luigi's. And Liz gets dressed up. She puts on this dress, you know, she puts on lipstick, she puts on long gloves to hide her gross finger. And right when she checks on Sue before she leaves out. She feels pretty good, but she checks on Sue, and she just sees her laying there, looking ethereal, looking perfect, looking like, I don't know, like a swan song, like a ballerina. Just like, you know how, like I said it before, like when ballerinas die in like ballets, they look very beautiful, or like Sleeping Beauty. She looks just amazing. So then Liz just stares at her, and then when she goes to the mirror, she sees all the things she doesn't like about herself. Literally haunted. and then she puts on a little bit of lipstick, changes her makeup, and then she's about to leave again. But then, as she grabs her keys, she sees that big poster of Sue in her perfect body. Then she looks at her chest, and Sue's chest looks great. So she goes back to the mirror, and Liz grabs a scarf to hide her décolletage, because before she was wearing a V-cut dress, you can see it. Now she's trying to cover it up, and it's just sad. Like, no matter what she does, she looks in the mirror, and no matter what she does, more lipstick, changing her hair, blush, outfit adjustments, she's just unhappy with how she looks. She doesn't like it, and next thing you know, she's just smearing the makeup off her face aggressively and just rubbing her face. And in my mind, this I can tell I'm a victim of it too. I'm thinking, no, don't do that. That'll give you wrinkles. That's what I was thinking. While she's rubbing her face, I'm like, no, girl, that'll give you wrinkles. And it was just a really moment, because there's always been a time, I think all of us had a time where we just looked in the mirror, and it's like, no matter what we did, we just did not like what we saw. It just didn't matter. We just did not like what we saw. And then she just was just later and later for her date, and then she just didn't show up at all.
Yeah, that was really heartbreaking to watch, because she was insecure anyway, and she thought that the substance would help her with that, but it made it
10 times worse.
10 times worse, right? 10 times worse, because it gave her a physical representation of what she isn't, and what she can never actually be, what she can only pretend to be 1 week at a time.
And it's just, like I said, she wanted some self-validation, but self-validation don't mean nothing if you don't have confidence. Like you said.
And to that point, right? When she called the substance people and he said, you have to respect the balance. Why, from a logical standpoint, why would Sue respect Elizabeth's life if Elizabeth don't respect Elizabeth's life?
Yeah.
Why would she see any value in giving her time that she earned, that she deserves, to respecting, the understanding the consequences that her abusing her time gives on the matrix, on her, like her, you know what I mean, her other half,
her other
if
self.
she doesn't,
yeah,
right? And I think that's kind of how it goes too. If you let your passions, your ambitions just destroy your other self, what's the point? Like, what do you, at the end of the day, even if she would have become super successful and everything and become a world-class actor, whenever your other half of your life is a lie, what's the point?
And she, and especially since, like I said, the split happens, and now she becomes jealous of Sue. At one point, Sue was like, we're doing the Vogue cover. Then she stopped saying we, and she's saying more me statements. I. Like I said, Sue and Liz calls the substance company to complain about one another as if they're separate entities. So yeah, it is like, I honestly, if I was Sue, I don't know why I want to be Liz either. Why would I want to be Liz?
Exactly. Why would you want to go back?
When I'm captivating people, and everyone loves me. When she dances, you remember that episode of Family Guy? For some reason, Stewie was like, he was choreographing for some diva, and he's like, 1 and 2, and I'm dancing with my vagina. That was it. Oh, man. Okay, you want to continue? I don't know where you left off.
Yeah.
Oh, the New Year's Eve show.
Yeah. So 3 months pass with Sue maintaining control, and she's constantly using the stabilizer on Elizabeth's body and causing it to deteriorate significantly, right? And then there's a New Year's Eve telecast where Sue is asked to perform and be the host, okay? And she realized that she ran out of stabilizer, and she tries to go and get more from Sue, and it's empty. But the supplier tells her that she must switch back in order to replenish it. That Elizabeth's body needs time to grow the stabilizer. She can't live here forever. So when she desperately finally switches back, Elizabeth is transformed into this elderly hunchback that's barely recognizable. Right. And she is just, like you said, Nosferatu.
Yeah, that's Nosferatu.
She is just
It's a double feature, honestly.
yeah, it really is. She is a fugly creature, like just
And it's crazy
her
how
hair fell out,
mhm.
everything is just decrepit. She just like walks around and it just causes her to even be more obviously just depressed and angry and it's just sick. It is sick. So she calls up the supplier and says, "Hey, I want to end this. I want to end it." Right? And they deliver a serum designed to terminate Sue. Now, what are you about to say before I continue?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She wow, it was crazy, but I was very excited to see Liz's transformation. It's like it started off with a finger here. The next time your hair was falling out, I remember before it got that bad, um, Liz looked like an old crone. Like she looked like a witch. And she was in the kitchen as a going away gift. Harvey gave her a French cooking book. And she was looking through the recipes and everything made her gag. Besides recipes like foie gras, which is duck or goose liver, some recipe that was like hearts or recipes that were like very organ based, like livers and hearts and kidneys. And that's what she craved and that's what she wanted. And I think that just represents how biologically depraved she is because of Sue. She doesn't have vital organs anymore. You know what I mean? Like is being Sue is pretty much a succubus and is sucking the life out of her and like her organs aren't functioning properly. She doesn't have good blood flow. Like I remember one scene, she could barely get off the couch because she could not move her leg because it was just so stiff and just her body is decaying. So seeing healthy, meaty, bloody organs were attractive to her because she's literally half dead, and she literally became a monster. And I think it's interesting that because she is extremely unattractive, you describe her as a monster. Like when you think about Quasimodo, they call him a monster because he's ugly, even though we know that he is human. And it's like beauty is so important that can literally strip you of your own humanity. And that's crazy to me.
Yeah, well, you called her a monster first off.
You said it. You said
You said
Nosferatu.
it. No, I said she looked like Nosferatu.
Well, she is. She is, and it's just
like, but like you said, it's a cycle. The worse she looks, the worse she feels, the worse she acts, the less
Sue.
humane she is.
Yeah.
Right. The more she needs Sue. The more Sue uses her, the worse she looks, the worse she is, the worse she acts. It's a disgusting cycle of addiction.
And it's just sad when you think something's gonna help you, hurt you. Like I remember everyone's so big on retinol. Use retinol; it clears your skin and makes it baby soft. Tried it, gave me an allergic reaction, and I was very ugly for a few days. And it's like my vanity cost me the one thing I was trying to preserve: my beauty.
Yeah, exactly. And that's all this whole film is about is vanity and how desperate we are to maintain that vanity.
Yeah. So you want to continue?
Yeah. So when she orders the serum, well, I'm kind of halfway in it.
Oh,
so
okay, okay.
So she orders the serum, and
the Terminator.
It's the Terminator. Yeah.
Is that the Terminex? I don't know.
Yeah. So she goes.
Is a
and she.
Terminex is an exterminated company. That's funny.
Yeah, so she goes and she orders the serum and she stabs Sue. And right before she injects the whole thing, she gets a change of heart. and says that essentially, I need you. I hate myself without you. So she goes and she switches.
I don't think she says without you. I think she just said, I hate myself.
I hate myself. Yeah. So she goes and she switches over. And as she's switching, Sue wakes up and Elizabeth is still awake.
Mm-hmm.
And they're shocked and they're staring at each other. And then Sue something switched in her. She realized that she was almost killed. And she proceeds to whoop Elizabeth's behind.
She Spartan kicks her like 10 times.
Yes, I don't know when Sue got so strong.
It's that clone power.
Probably the clone powder. She just sucked all the power from her.
She's optimal. Like she takes natural selection. She wins. Like
no, that was nothing natural about this. But anyway, she whooped her behind, and like she at one point she took her face against the mirror and just like made her look at herself, Sue, with Elizabeth's head, and just smashed it in the glass over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, this is a crazy, bloody way to die. Mm-hmm. But Elizabeth didn't die. Mm-mm. She then took her to the room and then kicked the crap out of her on her side to the living room and just kicked her and just
like I said,
her.
She Spartan kicked her. Like I'm like, is she kung fu like Panda?
Yeah,
she is kicking the fuck out of her all over that, all over that place. I'm like, don't nobody hear this?
So she brutally kills Elizabeth, and once again, this
she doesn't kill
version of her. Huh?
She doesn't kill her.
She does kill her. She kills Elizabeth.
No,
Elizabeth is dead.
No, so yes, what is that thing at the end? So Elizabeth is not dead.
That's dead. That thing at the end is different. She kills her. She lies there and she's dead.
There still needs to be. I think she was unresponsive, but I don't think she was dead because Sue still needs something to create that moment.
No. So as soon as she killed her. All right, and she went back to the studio
to get
ready for the New Year's Eve show.
And that dress was beautiful. That dress was gorgeous.
Yeah, but she was getting ready, and her body just started decaying. And the first thing she noticed is that her tooth fell out. Have you ever had a dream where you just like pull your teeth out?
It's like every other night,
one by one,
every other night. I'd be so glad to wake up. I was like, oh my God, I'm so glad it's a dream. And the thing that made it worse, it was her very front teeth. Like it was her front teeth, like not something she can hide.
In the back,
right there. I said, damn.
Yep, right there, and her teeth falling out, and then eventually her ears start falling off.
Her whole ear fell off. Yes, her entire earring and all.
Earring and all. So then in a panic, she rushes back to her apartment and she goes and gets the substance. And even though it says single use only,
she gets the activator.
The activator. Yep, the activator. And
it says single use only, but why was there enough in there so you can use it again? They gave everything else. Everything else was given to perfect proportions, perfect quantities. What's the word that I'm looking for? Perfect.
No, you're right. But it's proportion.
Yeah, perfect portions that you'll never have too much, but you have more activator. Seems like a setup.
No, I think you're right.
You sound like a COVID cough. You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Ew.
I'm good.
All right.
If we gotta cut that out, we can.
No, you need some activator. Time for a new James.
So,
because that one gave up with that cough.
It basically did. So Sue injects herself and goes through the same pain as she rides on the floor and her back splits open. And what happens, Mary?
An abomination is born. Literally, like think about a person who got hit by a train and then dragged 50 feet, then fell in poop, then like grew a second head because he fell in toxic waste, and then his skin's all burnt, and then like it was the most monstrous thing I've ever seen in my entire life. If you watch Full Metal Alchemist, when they try to bring their mom back, when Ed and Al try to resurrect their mom and they bring back homunculi, it looked worse than that. It was literally they had titties in the face. Remember the dude say, "I wish her breast was in her face."
Oh yeah,
there was a titty in
yeah.
her face, and the most horrific part was that Liz's face was attached to like the back of the monster, horrifically, with her mouth wide open in a perpetual scream, like wide open. She could not close it, and her eyes looking wild. And she's just attached to this monster. If you ever played Call of Duty, you remember bloaters from Call of Duty? Not
Bloaters.
no,
I thought
bloaters.
bloaters.
Bloaters is The Last of Us. Do you remember bloaters from The Last of Us?
I do. I do. It looks just like that.
It
Just like that.
it was crazy. And at this point, the mind was gone too, because homegirl still put her earrings. She had no ears. She stuck them earrings in her face. She put on lipstick. No. Yeah, she stuck them earrings right in her face. You know, she still had her dress on.
She took the picture of Elizabeth.
So she took this giant, like a printed poster of Liz. She tacked that joint on her face, put some lipstick on it. Well, on what I believe is its face. No one really knows.
One of his
She
faces.
put some lipstick on it, and she said, "Listen, it's New Year's. I'm here. I'm performing." And hell ensues. You know, she shows up, and for some reason, people can't tell that this is a monster with paper on their face. But like I said, this movie's very camp. That's one thing about this movie. This movie is camp, and there's parts of it that is humorous. I did laugh. I did laugh at parts when she put them earrings in her face. Open mouth cackled, like. But I think it's intentionally funny, like in a very dark, not even dark humor, black humor. Because you know, black humor is a thing, like a black humor type of way. So homegirl, you know, she goes to perform. She gets on stage with her dancers around her, and she thinks, this is my moment. So a woman just starts screaming, and everyone just starts screaming.
They notice her and even her the picture that she stapled to her face falls off, and everyone just realizes he's a monster. And the thing that gets me is people just sitting there; they're not like even running away, just watching it and just like.
I think it's like a terrible car crash. You can't look away.
You can't look away.
You can't look away. You're horrified, but you can't look away.
She was like, "I'm not a monster, no."
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually a guy runs on stage and like start attacking her and eventually decapitates her.
He pulverizes her. I think he hits her with like a chair or something. Like
Yeah, in her head.
freaking he hits her with a chair, and she literally explodes. She exploded. And one of her titties fell off her face right in the middle of her performance.
And it was so much blood. It was like if someone took a fire hose.
Yes.
And just like
sprayed
doused
blood.
the crowd.
Oh my goodness. It's like a
with
tarot
so
gun.
much
It's
blood.
called a tarot gun, right?
Tarot gun.
Yeah.
Tarot gun.
It's full of blood. I loved it. I said, let's go. Let's go. We're going there. This movie is ridiculous. There is no bars held. Is that the right word? No bars.
No hold bars.
Yes, there is nothing, no restraints. Whatever it is this woman, Carrie Lee, thought of, she said, "I'ma do it." This movie wasn't shown in some places. They said, "This is too gruesome, too gory." I love that they went there. I'm tired of subtlety. Let's be disgusting. And I could not. I tried to eat chicken afterwards. Couldn't eat it.
No, I was eating chicken too. I had some Chinese food chicken wings. I was like, I can't. I ate like 2 of them. Like
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I put it right back. I put it right back. So yeah, after she literally carried the entire stage in a panic, you know, it's actually heartbreaking. She's terrified. She knows she's dying. She's running in a fury back to who knows where, just to get away from the crowd. And you know, she just parts of her body is just falling off, and gory, globby, disgusting masses. And she finally ends up where we started, back at her star.
Yeah, Elizabeth's original face slides and separates from the mass of meat and flesh.
Literally like ribs falling off the bone. That's how her face mask just falls off the rest of her body, and it crawls towards her star.
Yes, there's her
love it.
Hollywood Walk of
I
Fame
love it.
star. And she like hallucinates for a moment that she's once again famous and people are adoring her.
It's like the sky opens up and sparkles fall down. She's finally Elizabeth Sparkle again. She hears people adoring her and chanting her name, and for a moment she's happy. She smiles, she laughs. She's like, finally, I'm back here. And then she just disintegrates.
And the next morning someone takes
A Zaboni.
Zaboni and just wipes
it clean. So literally every last drop of her is gone. She's literally erased from history.
Yes. Thin.
Yeah, and then I just threw up a few times. Side dog.
Yes. No, so I felt like the movie could have ended when they showed monstrous Eliza Sue.
Eliza Sue, yeah.
Eliza Sue. I feel like they could have they showed that. I was like, okay, that's the end of the movie. But obviously it wasn't.
No.
And this director, she uses humor with gore because she feels as though if something is funny, it can be more gory. And kind of like
that is true.
Downplay how gory it was. Because obviously there wasn't a realistic amount of blood. But my God, it was like it was like a good 2-minute scene where just blood just gushing everywhere. Just soaking the entire auditorium.
And she fought to have it that gory. People wanted her to tone it down. She said, no.
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 Yeah, we need some.
But like I said, I love that. You don't see that very often in live action films. I have to go to anime for that level of gore. So the fact that they went, like you said, you thought it was over and they took it up a notch. You thought it was over and they took it up a notch. You thought it was over. Yeah. You said, no, please don't take it up a notch. They took it up 2 more notches, begging, please stop. Nope, we got 1 more notch for you. Oh my God, I'm disgusted. 1 more. Like it was unexpected. And yeah, I'll give this a large bag of popcorn. Watch that joint if you can. Like I said, that was a warning. Even if you're not squeamish, it was discussed anyone. So if you really you cannot do that stuff. You literally cannot stomach it. Don't watch it. Watch anything else. Literally anything else. But yeah.
So I am reluctantly also giving this a large bag of popcorn. This movie,
I'll give it an XO, honestly. I love this
movie,
the themes. Yeah.
The themes are very, very, very good. It's just hard to watch, like you said. So hard. We actually had food ordered to the house and we had to pause the movie, eat our food. I had to think of other things to get through eating what I had to eat.
Yeah.
And to go back and watch the movie. And I'm like, wow.
I considered being a vegetarian for a while. I was like, I'm just eating flesh.
Yes.
Ew,
yes.
What is wrong with me?
Just it's a lot. It's a lot. But it is, I think, like you said, the themes, it's funny at sometimes. It's definitely terrifying. It's not like jump horror.
No. It's very unsettling. It's like science fiction gone horribly wrong.
Yes, it sounds like it's like a Black Mirror episode.
Yes, so unique.
Turned up.
Yeah.
Yes, just turned up so much. Just so much. Yeah. Right? And it makes you, I don't know. I give it a large bag of popcorn. It also forces some self-reflection. This is how, like, to love yourself first and foremost. Even when other people stop loving you, you have to have that internal, like, appreciation for yourself, because eventually your external stuff is going to fade away.
And beauty fades. Even Sue didn't look that good forever. Yeah, she had chicken stuck in her ass. That could happen to you too.
She did.
Yeah.
But
beauty fades.
Okay, guys.
But
beauty fades.
You could still be beautiful on the inside, guys. That's what's most important. Don't become a monster.
Yeah. Just ugly on the inside and out. That's what she became eventually.
Yeah.
So, well, thanks, guys, for listening to another episode of the Watch That John podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Watch That John And you can follow our YouTube channel, the Watch That Drawn podcast, and listen to us wherever you get your podcasts, either there's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or anywhere else. So once again, thanks for listening. And until next time.
Bye.